Hello, everybody. It's Ghost Dragon coming at you today with some more Magic the Gathering. Ooh, what's this? Oh, well, it's too late for that, anyways. So, Magic the Gathering came out with some more cards. Came out with a new set. Came out with Lord of the Rings. Came out with a Lord of the Rings set. So, I will be playing with some of those sets. I will also be playing with an older set. What was that? Green and white. We're going to be playing with this black one first. This is my black, solid mono black deck from, I think, well, I don't think. It's mono black from the Lord of the Rings. I'm not thinking about it, but I know it's from Lord of the Rings because it's called LOTR2. It's the second one that I made. There's another one that I made too that's not really that good, but this one's pretty good. Win ratio is alright. It's not, sorry, I had to cough. It's not the best, but I can make do with it. I want three. Dang. Three Nazguls? I wanted three land. Three Nazguls? Nazguls. But how's everybody's day going, you know? I had a pretty good day today. I'm actually still having a really good day, you know? You know? Ooh, that's pretty nice. Yeah, with this solid black deck, it's all about just tempting. Because with the Lord of the Rings, they came out with the ring tempts you. As the ring tempts you, you get an emblem named the ring. If you don't have one, then your emblem gains its next ability, and you choose a creature you control to become or remain your ring bearer. So there's stuff right here that the ring can do, or the ring does, not can do. The ring does. The one ring. What am I doing? Why are you targeting that one land? Alright, whatever. Weird. Woo! Massing some orcs. Sorry. Still got some coughing in me. Me guessing. Let's see. They actually did release with the One Ring. They did have an artifact called the One Ring, which is like $1 million, I think. Let me actually take a look to see how much. Let's see. Fans all over the world desperately searching for the one of the card, the One Ring. Gathering, Lord Ring. Current expansion announced as a one of one card, meaning there is truly only one print of it. The card has been valued around $2 million. Says that somebody found it. Hmm. Yeah, it's at $2 million. I don't know if it's worth $2 million for it. Sure, it's only one ring, but like you can't really do much with it. Apparently somebody found it, which I don't think it's gonna be. Man, I'm just coughing now. Of course, I start coughing when I start recording. I hate this. But apparently somebody found it worth $2 million. I don't know. Tell me in the comments if you think that that card is worth $2 million. If you're a Magic player, if you're not, just pretend like Pokemon card. Like if there was only one card of that, like one rare shiny Charizard. Like I say rare, but only one shiny Charizard ever. Do you think that it's worth it? That Charizard would be worth $2 million, or do you think it'd still be worth, you know, 120 bucks? Just because of what the Charizard can do. Like if the Charizard can do like some really powerful moves, then yeah, I would suggest to put it as $2 million. But if you get a Charizard that, you know, this was like, oh, it does 120 damage to each of these cards, and you have to discard a card, and you have to do this other stuff. I don't think it would be worth, you know, that $2 million. I still don't think the One Ring is worth $2 million, because what it actually does is not. It's not very powerful. Everybody's like, oh, no, like you only get that one card. Like that's it. That's the only card that they've ever made of that kind. So, excuse me, sorry. So, well, they made that one card. Cool. It's not worth $2 million. Sure, it's from Lord of the Rings, but like, you can buy a duplicate, or say, you know, a movie replica for $2 million, I think. Actually, let me take a look. Yeah, let's see. The Bilbo ring, the One Ring, sterling silver with Elvish runes is going for $200. I'm looking at a website right now. Let's see. Jens Hansen? The One Ring, the world's only movie prop, the One Ring replicas. Officially licensed and directed from designers. Yeah, so it's literally like the One Ring replica is not even worth, like a movie replica. Like Gollum ring, the One Ring, 10K solid gold with Elvish runes, $2,000. That is literally how much it goes for. The card, like the physical card of getting the One Ring. And let me actually get a picture of it. This is what it looks like. This is so this is right here is the serialized, the $2 million card that is literally, and this is the card right here. Now tell me that card is worth $2 million when you can buy literally buy a movie replica ring from. But when I say movie replica, I mean like officially made of a replica of that movie, from that movie, where they can officially make it. Where they can like officially be like, hey, we made this movie this is a replica of ring from the movie. So I mean that I actually won with that mono black deck, which is kind of good. As I've been on this tangent about a $2 million card. that shouldn't be worth $2 million, in my opinion. Like a car, like a collector's car, like an old collector's car, isn't even worth that much. You can't even find an old collector's car. This is this is the first one that I made. I don't think it's pretty good, but it literally, like, no car is worth it. You literally, if you got that card, that $2 million card, you can sell it, buy a house. That is how much that card is worth. You can sell that card, buy a house with that card. I want to say immediately, but with the money that you get from the card. And I get, like, collectors are like, oh yeah, everybody's a collector, and they say all these things about it. I'm like, it's not about the collection of it. What it's about is the principle of the card itself. Like, if the card was super powerful, like, nothing can happen to the card in the game, like in the MTG game. You can't, like, destroy it, you can't remove it whatsoever, and every time, like, it lets you do something every move. That would be cool. Like, that would be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of cool. But it doesn't. It's so bad. Like, in retrospect, for a $2 million card, it's bad. You might as well buy a house. Like, I get it that there's some people that are like, oh, we want it as a collection. What are you going to do with it? You ain't going to play with it. Like, that's my issue with it, is like, if you get that, whoever got that $2 million card, that's awesome. You guys got a $2 million card. Now, what are you going to do with it? You going to put it in a deck that you have? Why would you do that? You can't do anything now. So you might as well just keep that card, store it somewhere, and let it collect dust. Because people are just gonna pass it around to each other. Like I said, there's no reason for that card to be $2 million at whatsoever. At any point in anybody's life, should that card be $2 million? Even if you were a collector and you paid $2 million for that card, you are the dumbest person I've ever met. And I say that because that is true. If you pay $2 million for a card, you buy a house, invest in a house, not in a card. Because what's that card going to do for you? Sure, it may go up in price later. Like, later down the line, like when you're 50. But you're not going to, are you going to play with the card? Like, are you going to actually do something with a card, or are you just going to set it on a shelf? Like, the guy who bought it, or who got the card, he was lucky enough to actually get the card, which is pretty cool. I envy that guy to actually have that luck. It was actually pretty cool. Because he didn't buy the card, he bought a pack and opened it, and the card was in there. That's different. Buying packs, I get, because I like buying packs. That is my fun. Because I buy Pokemon cards all the time, Pokemon packs. I buy Magic cards, Magic like draft packs, collector boosters, and stuff like that all the time. And that's cool. That is actually pretty cool. Because you're not wasting money. Other people may be like, oh, you're wasting money, you're just buying packs, why don't you just buy the card? Because it's fun. Why do you play it? Why do people play the lottery? Because that's fun. That's actually fun to do. That is one of the best things to do in your life. I mean, to me, at least, like, when I go buy a pack, I'm like, oh, am I going to get a good card? Am I not going to get a card? But packs these days are all so much. Like, you have all these people buying like packs and then selling them online for more than what they're worth. It doesn't make any sense. It just, to me, those people are. I don't like those people. Because it made me, like, because I like buying Pokemon packs all the time. Like the $10 card, or not $10, the $5 packs that you get with 10 cards in them and stuff like that. Those are awesome. Like, because I'll buy like 4 of those and I'll get a card that I want or something. Or, I'll buy like a big box and I'll get the card that I'll get one card that I like. I was like, man, that's a cool card. But I can't now. Because if I try to, it ruins the experience, because all these people are going and buying these packs and selling them for like $20 because it's like, oh, this could contain a good card, or like a really, like a rare card or something that might earn you like $100 to $200. I'm like, I'm not going to buy these cards so I can sell them. I'm getting them to collect them and play with them. I don't play Pokemon. I don't play the physical card game of the Pokemon. I don't do that. I play the video game. I do play the video game of the card game. Played it on Nintendo all my life, as far as I've known. I just want to make that real fast. Spiel about it, all of this stuff. About it, like, oh, he's not going to do anything with that card. But it's to me, the Pokemon cards is collecting them. That's what I like. I like collecting them. I'm not going to sell them, like, at all. I'm not going to sell my cards at any point in my entire life. Am I going to be like, oh, I'm going to sell these cards because I want to or something? I'm literally going to go, ha 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 ha. Like, I'm not going to buy it. But everybody else is like, oh, you can sell them. But I was like, I'm not going to sell my cards. I'll trade them. Like, I'll go in there and trade them. So somebody try to trade them equally. Like, I'm not a total a-hole about that. But if that guy for that $2 million card is going to purchase these things, fine, that's cool. Like, that's cool. Purchase the things and do all this. But that guy is probably going to be like, oh, I'm going to sell it for $2 million because I can get $2 million of it. Sell it to some collector. Now, that collector just bought a $2 million card. Now what? Like, you can't do anything with that $2 million card except for sell it for $2 million to somebody else. It's kind of pointless to have a $2 million card for nothing. For absolutely nothing. Like, the art style is cool. What it does is absolutely, after we get done, I'm going to show you what it does. After we get done with this battle, I'm going to show you what the One Ring does. At least in the arena. I don't know, because arena does change the wording around some of these. But I will show you what in the arena it does. And to me, sure, maybe $100, maybe $200 range. If it's its only card, $200 range is fine with me, because that's perfect. I'm not gonna. Excuse me. I'm not gonna waste, $2 million for a card that's not gonna earn me anything. Pointless to have that kind of card. But as I went on this long tangent about all this, what do you guys think? Drop down in the comments. What do you think about that card? Just should it be $2 million? Should it not be $2 million? Tell me why if you guys think it should be. Just give me like a little bit of reasons why a card should be $2 million. Because personally, not worth what it is. Oh yeah, Dragon wakes up too. Just wakes up. It's kind of cool. I like that. I kind of like the arena stuff because they have little things that you can touch and poke, and they kind of do stuff. That's kind of cool. Anybody else play Magic the Gathering, like the actual card, the cardboard card game, or Pokemon? Because if you guys do, that'd be kind of cool. And if you do play Magic, and if you do play Arena, like, shoot me a friend request. Like, this is... Don't mind that, but shoot me a friend request. Like, I play Magic the Gathering a lot. So don't be afraid to, like, shoot me a friend request about it. And I'll play with you if you want me to. Or if you want to just chat about some stuff. I can chat with you guys. Discord, like if you guys give me I have my own Discord. I do, but I can make a new one for this. It's kind of easy to make a Discord channel. I don't have Nitro though. I don't pay for Nitro. Sucks, but I don't care. I'm not paying something like Nitro. Dude, I don't even pay for like Crunchyroll or stuff. Anybody here watch anime? Anybody watching these videos watch a bunch of anime? 'Cause I start watching anime again. Like Overlord season 4, I really want to start watching it, but I'm afraid that if I do, it's gonna suck. Mostly just because the longer that something goes on, the more terrible that it becomes. And if you guys don't believe me, like, watch any movie series. Like, I'm not saying, like, the Avengers got really terrible, but it was just, it dug out for so long. And the Avengers was the Avengers storyline, any of the Marvel things, those were awesome. Like, those were perfect. First Iron Man, second Iron Man. But the third one, man, the third one was just kind of a flop. Like, it was just it was bad. And I'm not saying bad as in, like, oh, the story was terrible. Like, we can't, like, it wasn't like that at all. The problem with it is that it was so underrated. Like, they were like, oh, the Mandarin. And you're like, okay, you knew the Mandarin wasn't the real bad guy. Like, if you paid attention enough in the movie, you realize that he wasn't the real bad guy, and he was just some guy that was like, What they should have done, in my opinion, is kept it up right up until Tony or RDJ went into the guy, like, when he got captured. Like, when he gets captured and he gets interrogated by, what's his face? I don't even remember what's his face's name. But when he gets interrogated by, I don't remember this. When he gets interrogated by that guy, and he has to break out, that's when they should have been like, oh yeah, he's an actor. But the entire time they should have been playing up to the game that he was the main guy. There was no backstory right up until that point. And then after that point, you should have been like, oh, I know this guy. But it was so terrible. And the Mandarin wasn't even, like, in the comics, the Mandarin is the 10 Rings. And they made a movie about the 10 Rings later on. It was just so bad. I don't know. Like, in a retro perspective thing, it was just bad. Because they were like, oh, we're just going to start throwing stuff out there and we'll see what hits. And then they realized this wasn't a hit, and they're like, well, what do we do now? The Captain America stuff was so good. Except for Civil War, in my opinion. Everybody loved Civil War, but I didn't. Just because they had the roles reversed. Captain America was the guy for the contract in the comics, in the one of the original Infinity War, Civil War comics, not the Infinity War, in the original Civil War comics, he was Captain America was the one that signed the papers, be like, hey, we need to be restricted. It wasn't Iron Man. That's why I didn't like it, and that was because, and then they were like, oh yeah, Bucky Barnes killed his parents, and then he was like, oh, I hate Captain America now because he didn't tell me. Really? Is that really gonna be how it is? Because you couldn't handle that. Your Captain America didn't tell you about Bucky killing your parents. How did he know? How did he find out? Because in the movie it said, ew, I'm gonna stop talking about it now because I'm gonna go on another tangent. Because I'm trying to finish this other tangent about the Marvel movies and how long. That was just how it was. Like, the longer the period is, the more something sucks. Transformers. God, the Transformers. I love Transformers. Don't get me wrong. Transformers is so fun. The original Transformers, so good. So unbelievably so good. And then they got Mark Wahlberg on it. Oh God, dude, he's a genius actor. His acting was superb. He was such a good actor. Like, you can't even. It was so good. And then they had and they actually had the Dinobots in 4 and 5. Again, the longer something goes on, the worse that it is. The Dino, what Lockdown was, how he was like, oh, our creators are coming to get you. No, that's not how that works. Transformers weren't created by Quintessa or Unicron or what it was, or Cybertron. Because I'm gonna let you know, Unicron and Cybertron were there. Like, that was them. They were some of the original Transformers that were there because that was what it was. Sorry, I had to focus on what was happening. That was what it was. That was who it was. That was it. But then they came up with Unicron being Earth. And I that's cool and all for what they were going for. That's really dope. Like, I'm proud of them for going for that. But for what had happened, no, don't. What had happened with the story? Don't even do that, because it just, at the end of the day, what had happened is that they dropped the movies off, and then somebody, there it is. Hey, there it is. This is what the One Ring does. Indestructible. When the One Ring enters the battlefield, if you cast it, gain protection from everything until your next turn. Protection from everything. Player can, with protection from everything, can't be targeted, dealt damage, or enchanted. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life for each bird encounter on the One Ring. Cool. Put a bird encounter on the One Ring, then draw each card for the bird encounter. That, again, so cool. That is really cool. But it's not worth $2 million. At least this is what the arena is. This is the arena version of the card. I don't know if the arena version and the real life card version are different or not. I don't know what it is. Anyways, back to my tangent about the movies, and I'll get into the One Ring later. Okay, but in the movies, it was just the Transformers movies. The Transformers, the first movie, was so good. I had a blast enjoying it. It was funny. It had its moment of, it was funny, sad, comedic, or funny and comedic are the same thing. But it was comedic. It was sad. It had its moments. It told a story. Two was another good Transformers game. It was telling a story. It made us think that Optimus died, and that was cool that Optimus had died. But the matrix of leadership, that's what disappointed me in the movie. That's what got me in the movie was the matrix of leadership. Was just that it was already an Optimus when he came to Earth. In the comics, in the G1 original series of the animation, and any out of all the movies, Optimus had the matrix of leadership. But in the live action movie that they made, it had to bring him back to life. That was not Transformers. That was not the original Transformers, and that was not the meaning of the matrix of leadership. It wasn't meant to bring him back to life. That was not the matrix of leadership. The matrix of leadership was to prove that he was a Prime, that he was Optimus Prime. Because before he was Optimus Prime, he was Orion Pax. And Orion Pax was a librarian on Cybertron. That was Optimus Prime before he became a Prime. And then the council, the High Council made him a Prime. And so he was like, okay, cool. And he had to go, and a bunch of different stories. He saved Cybertron, or he got it as soon as he became a Prime and stuff like that, just depending on which story it was. But that's how he became a Prime. And in the movie, they were like, oh, only a Prime can kill a Fallen. Well, it doesn't explain how he got to the Prime aspect of it. All right, we're gonna do the art of this deck just because I want to. But that was Transformers 2. Transformers 3, it had a lot. Transformers 3 had a lot to go for. It was super good. It was fantastic. The storyline, what it was, the plot was going for it. It was all good, but it was just in retrospect, I don't know how to articulate this in a manner that I want to say that it's good. I just keep coughing, sorry. But as it was, 3 it was good. Like they were trying to bring Cybertron to Earth. That's cool because they were trying to bring Cybertron back to life. Cool. Why did they have to do it the way that they did it? What's his face, the red fire truck guy? Why was he even there? They're like, oh, in the the Ark. The Ark, they got rid of him and blah blah blah, and then they did this and blah blah blah, and they had the space bridge. What? Like the space bridge is so. It's just the movies did so different than what it actually was. And then they got Soundwave. So wrong. Soundwave was completely wrong. How Shockwave, what it was, it was just, there was so much that they could have done, but they didn't do. And it was just terrible. As a standpoint of view, as like the whole of the movie was good. The movie as a whole was superb and was fantastic. What? Yeah. You guys done messed up. But as a whole, as the movie, it was just completely terrible all around. Just because of the fact that they got so much wrong. And I was like, okay, cool. I could live with it, but it was terrible. And then 4 came around. 4, I was really excited for 4 because they had it for, what was it, Super Bowl. It was a Super Bowl ad, and I was excited. That's the only reason why I watched the Super Bowl that time too, because I knew the ad was coming, and I was like, hey, I want to watch this just for the ad. That was it. And I watched it for the ad, and I got so excited. Movie, terrific. What they did, how they did all these things was good. But what they have done in the movie was so far off what they could have done, what they could have made better, what they should have made better. They did it. First off, in the beginning of the movie, you see all these things happening and blah blah blah. It was terrible. It was terrible, but really good, because you see Mark Wahlberg and you're like, oh, that's cool. Mark Wahlberg, dope. Mark Wahlberg that's why I'm saying Mark Wahlberg was a good actor, because he was one of the reasons that movie was really good. If Shia LaBeouf was in it, it would have been terrible. But the thing that made it so much better than it was the movie, was the plot and everything. And as the story continues, it was, the humans started killing off all the Autobots. Why? Well, because the Autobots caused this. And they were like, okay, not really, but sure. And then we realized that Lockdown is the one telling them, was like, oh, these are your guys. Like, these are the guys for you. And we're like, not really. But they were like, oh yeah, these are your guys, and blah blah blah, and this was all happening, and it was just cool. We see, you see, those people hunt down Mark Wahlberg and trying to find Optimus that he fixed. That was one of the coolest parts that I found, was that Mark Wahlberg was fixing Optimus. Because of that, I really enjoyed it. I was like, man, that's super cool, because somebody, an actual human, was smart enough to fix a Transformer. Now that is something that's cool. Like, that's really cool to do. And not with the guy that did, not the original guy that was like, oh yeah, we're just going to create our own Transformers with this Transformium. Another part that we'll get into later. That is another part that I will get into later. Like, it was just terrible, blah blah blah. That was what was wrong with it. Just because of what was going wrong with it. Where was I? And so they hunted down his family. They hunted down Cade, which Cade Yeagers is his name, and that's cool. Then you find out that these other Autobots were alive. It was, I think, Bumblebee, Hound, Drift, and whatever the green guy's name was. He wasn't really that cool. But that was the story. And you see them, having fun, and then you realize that Cade hacked the drone and he found footage of them killing all these Autobots. Not, we are like, oh, why are they killing Autobots? Because they think the Autobots caused the invasion. cool and all, but it's not what really happened. And as you go throughout the story, you're like, oh, you know, what is this? Then you find out they can make transformium, which is not a thing. It's definitely not a thing. You can't just make up an element. Like, you're like, oh, we can make you. No, you can't. You can't make a transformer. Humans cannot make a transformer. Humans are not smart enough to make a transformer. And they were like, oh, they're using brains. One of the small people, one of the small transformers that you see throughout the story. They're like, oh, they're using brains to actually do it. No, they're not using him to make transformers. You can't make a transformer from transformium, a fake material that they made. And then they were like, oh, they made Galvatron, which was cool because Galvatron was actually part of the original series. Or I say one of the original series that you can watch. But at the end of the day, it wasn't Megatron. And I'm not saying it wasn't Megatron as in like, oh, it was Galvatron or Megatron. It wasn't Megatron as in like, it wasn't Megatron at all. Is this green and blue? And so you're like, cool. And then he infects all of these guys, and then a huge battle breaks out, and they have to get this seed that can make more transformium. Again, fake metal. Fake material. Like, I get it, like Adam. Like, everybody's like, oh, fake material, like adamantite is not. Sure, that's a fake. But it's more believable than transformium. Like, some dude was like, oh, I made this thing. You, what? Blah, blah, blah. Then the final battle becomes Optimus defeats Lockdown, and then he goes to space to find his creators, air quotes. And then the next movie after that, and then, whoa, before I do that, he met with got on the Lockdown ship, he got the Dinobots. The Dinobots, what they had was super cool, because they were still in their, had some Cybertronian armor, color, super, like, looking things. But they didn't talk, which I did not enjoy. I wish they would have said some words instead of just transformed or battled everything. They didn't give them any lines. Even if it was like a couple of lines, that would have been perfect. It would have been really good, but it didn't. Whoever Michael, is it Michael Bay? Whatever his face is, or whoever was directing it, I can't remember. I think it was Michael Bay. Whoever, but they did that. Couldn't mute it that time. Cut that out. They couldn't give him a few lines, which was kind of sad. They rushed into the final battle. Then Optimus defeats Lockdown. Then the next movie, you see Optimus going into space. He shuts down because he doesn't have any energon and stuff. He doesn't have any Zero. And then he meets Quintessa. And then he becomes Nemesis Prime, which was really cool. That was one of the coolest parts about the whole movie. About the fifth one. I think it was The Last Night. I think that's what it was. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. But the Transformers 5, that was actually cool. Making Nemesis Prime and stuff. And then touch the subject, Megatron comes back in, not Galvatron, which they don't explain how he became that. Won't touch that subject, so we're gonna continue on, and I win. I'm gonna win this by default. It's cool and all, so just because this guy's not playing. But yeah, so that was what's happening. Nemesis Prime, cool. Then we go back to Earth, and we see all these things happening. We're like, oh, this is so cool. And then they made Cade Yeager, and then the beginning of the movie, so perfect. Like, they went back in time, blah, blah, blah. Talking about how Merlin and the staff and how they were Transformers before. Like, this is all cool. Having all this was really cool. But they just, they didn't, what the, it's just hard. Because throughout the Transformers 5, you're like, oh, Merlin and the staff, and, you know, there were Transformers before, there was the Dragon Transformers, that's cool. The Last Knights, that's what they turn into. Or, I said the Last Knights, the Knights of the Round Table, that's what they turn into, that's why there's 12 of them. And then you see become Optimus, that's why it's called, I think that's because it's called The Last Knight. And then we get to a point in the movie where it just stops becoming what the movie, what happens. Like, you get like, oh, you know, they were here before us, that's cool. And then they're like, oh, we're trying to find Unicron. Then you realize that Unicron is Earth, and you're like, well, say later on in the movie, you see Unicron becoming Earth. And it sucks, because you're like, what? Anyways, and then you're like, oh, they're trying to get Unicron. They're trying to bring Cybertron here to battle Unicron and such and so forth. Again. That's cool. That's really perfect. But as a whole of the movie, why? Why would you do that? Then you have Nemesis Prime. Cool. That whole line right there is really cool. Comes in, starts, you know, they're like, why is Prime attacking us? He's Nemesis Prime. And then he snaps out of it. Because of Bumblebee. So I'm not saying that Bumblebee shouldn't be the one that snaps out of it, because he's one of the only ones throughout the whole movie that is actually cool. I don't remember what I was talking about. My brain just kind of quit working. What was I talking about? I know it's Transformers. Oh, it's The Last Night. Let me just cough all in the mic. Sorry. That's right. The last Transformers 5. It was, yeah, it was good. The whole Megatron becoming Galvatron that they did not explain, which kind of sucked. Wish they kind of explained that more. Nemesis Prime, which is pretty cool. God, dude. What else? The combiners. Oh, that's right. That's where my brain was going. The combiners that they had. The combiners that lasted like 5 minutes in the last battle. Like, literally, they combined. Megatron Optimus chopped their heads off. It was kind of bad. And then they made the Bumblebee movie, which was often just, it was really good. The Bumblebee movie was superb. I haven't watched the new Transformers Rise of the Beast yet. I was planning to, but some stuff happened. The Rise of not the Rise of the Beast, Transformers Bumblebee movie. It was really good. It was really good. It was the start of a new franchise of what they wanted to do. The problem with it is they restarted the franchise. I don't know. That was just one of the dumbest things that somebody could have done. Was restart the Transformers franchise. And not as in like they did the G1 stuff, which was really good. What I'm saying is that God. Now they have they when they restarted it, they did the G1 stuff, which was really good. But the Jesus. The problem with the Bumblebee was that it restarted the franchise. There was no reason to restart the franchise. It was good. The restart of the franchise was okay-ish. But it wasn't. Sorry, I'm trying to actually focus on the game here. It wasn't. It just wasn't. I don't know what what they did with it and why they did it the way that they did it. But restarting the franchise isn't always a good thing. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's really amazing, and restarting a franchise is super cool. But when they restarted the franchise, it restarted a whole bunch of other stuff too, like the past 5 movies. Ooh, that was a nice win. The past 5 movies that were made before that, before Bumblebee, just became obsolete. They're just nothing now. So it's just terrible. That's why I don't like the restart of a franchise, because they make everything obsolete. Like a remake of a game is cool, but if you're gonna remake it, at least keep some of the same storyline of what had happened. That's what happened to Bumblebee. Bumblebee was a great movie, and they restarted the franchise. Was pretty cool what they were doing, because that means they can actually have stuff, actually make a good storyline happen. But the restart of the franchise is what bothers me. 4 and 5 didn't restart it. They kept the same story. That was what happening. But they ended it on such a terrible note that the restart was the only option. And so that's the issue that I have with Bumblebee. If the restart of the franchise is good / bad, because what they made, the director of the 1st through 5th movies, what had happened is obsolete. Now, what they just made means nothing in these new movies. When you're doing that in a video game standpoint, or in a comic book or something like that, that is easy. Like, those are easy stuff they can fix. But with the movie, you make the slightest mistake in something and it just goes wrong. Just because of the remake. It restarted the franchise. Now, what I'm saying is that now they restarted the franchise. At the end of the B movie, he drives off because he has to and all this stuff. And then there's another human. Why? Why do they have to get rid of all that stuff? It was perfectly fine. Haven't watched it, so when I watch it, I'll kind of make a new video talking about this. But when they did that, there was no point for Bumblebee to leave. just because there was no point. There was literally no point. And when they remade it, that means that all the stuff that happened through the first and fifth never exists. So Optimus never died in those movies. Bumblebee never met all the people that he did meet. So he's a totally different Transformer now. So is Optimus. Optimus is a new Transformer. Just because he didn't meet Cade or whatever Shia LaBeouf's character was, Sam Witwicky. And that was they are now new characters. Now they have to build everything back up, which is harder to do in a movie standpoint than it is in a comic book or a video game. And the reason why I say it's harder is because it's more cost prohibited. You can animate anything in a game. Like in a game, everything is fake/real. Call of Duty is fake/real. This game, Magic the Gathering, is fake/real. Like it's real, and then there's real terms, and then it's fake because it's Magic. But in a movie, it's more real than fake in a live action movie. If it was an animated movie, you can make stuff on the fly. You're like, oh, we can change this really fast, or the scene can get taken away, and we can still add more stuff. Because you can only work with 3 to 4 hours worth of content. I say 3 to 4, 2 to 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours, just depending on how long that we make the movie and what's cut and what's not. In a video game, you don't have that time frame, or in a comic book, or in a book, or anything like that. You don't have a time frame. Like you can be like, hey, I'm gonna make this book 1,000 pages, and then I can make the sequel 1,000 pages, and I can make everything up like 1,000 pages or 800 pages or whatever, just depending how much you need to write and how much details you need to put in. But in a movie, there's only so much details you can put in before you can start actually doing things. Like, how much character development can you put into one guy before you can put into one character and then move on to the next character to make it more character? Because now you have to make several movies about that same character. Like the Bee movie. They made the Bumblebee movie, and now that's Bumblebee for that movie. For the next movie, The Rise of the Beast. Now, that's how Bee is going to be in this movie. And now we have to do Optimus's character development, and then we're going to do somebody. That's what it is. In a video game, you can make a character development last as long as you need. Because you can make a game like Skyrim or something like that. So like an RPG can take so long. You can put hundreds of hours into a game and still not gain the character development that certain things need to be done. But in a movie, you only have 2 hours to make a human or whatever, an alien, an object, have a character development that it needs to feel, to make emotional, to grab attention from the point of view. And that's why a remake is terrible. On a movie standpoint, like in a movie sense, it is completely terrible. Because now you have to redo all the characters and redo all the plot and redo all the storyline to actually fit to the storyline. And doing that takes time that not everybody has. And I'm not saying not everybody has, as in like, oh, somebody might die. What I'm saying is like, as not as everybody has, is like, how many people watch the Zack Snyder cut movie? Not a lot of people. A lot of people did. Not too many, because it was 4 hours long. Not anybody's going to sit for a 4 hour long movie without intermissions. And you want to, now you have to cut that down time. Now you have to cut certain sections off. That's why they have deleted scenes, is because they took that scene and was like, we can't put that scene in the movie because it makes it too long, blah, blah, blah. And now you have this character that lost a little bit of the character development. Because if you do the deleted scenes of movies when you get the DVD or you watch it or whatever, and you watch the deleted scenes of it, you've seen some scenes that were like, oh, well, that made a lot more sense now. Because now that made more sense than why he was mad about this thing, or he was happy about this, or how he got this object, because of a 10 to 20-second clip that they took out of the movie is now something that they missed. And that's why movie remakes are terrible. And it was good. Like, the movie was good. The plot was good. The character development was good. Everything about the movie was good. It was the remake of a movie that's bad because of the time frame you have. You can put 2 hours into a movie and that's all you're going to get. You can put 2 hours into a game and you won't get all the character development at all. Like, let's see. What's good? Skyrim. Like, Skyrim, there's a lot of time that you can put into the game, but if you put 2 hours in the game, you won't get anywhere at all. Like, in the game, you will probably master a couple of things, and in 2 hours, cheating your way through. And I'm saying cheating as in not modding it. I'm saying cheating as you can cheat a few things, like with the enchantment stuff and destruction and a bunch of other things. There's a way to a faster way to grind it out than working on it. But now you have 2 hours. You have 2 hours to play Skyrim. If I gave somebody 2 hours to play it, they won't be having fun because now after that 2 hours, like, hey, okay, 2 hours is done. Let's go. Like 2 hours and 30 minutes, 2.5 hours. Hey, it's 2.5 hours. You're done. Okay, you didn't get anything done in that game whatsoever at any point in the day. Now you have to figure out what to do after that. And then it's the same with the movie. In the movie, they throw so much plot, character development, so much story into one thing that they have to be like, okay, we can't take this. We have to take this out. We have to take this out. Oh, this never happened. This happened in the book. We have to take that out. We have to do this. And now you're working with the 2.5 hours. And now we're like, okay, now we have in this 2.5 span, how much time is it going to make? Okay, 30 minutes. 30 minutes is going to do character development. So that's going to be the first 30 minutes of the movie. Now we have to throw a plot at them. It's going to be the next hour. So an hour and a half of the movie is already wasted before anything like really is done. Then you're like, okay, now we got character development and the plot of the movie. You're like, oh, finally, we learn a bit more. Now you have the action of the movie. You have action parts of the movie. The first part of everybody meeting. We're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Bam, now they got away. Oh, no. And then you have that final action scene at the end of the movie, which takes up about 20, 30 minutes, just depending on whatever the movie it is. Like the Transformers 4 was about like 15 minutes, I think, the last action scene of it. Transformers 5 was a little bit longer, just because they were actually trying to anticipate, they were getting everybody pumped. But that was how it was. And that is I know I'm repeating myself, but that is why movie remakes suck. Because you spent so much time doing the character development in the last 4 movies. In the last 4 movies, now you have to make new character development, or 5 movies, depending on Transformers. Now you have to make new character development based off of that. And animated movies are the same. That is completely the same thing. But in animated movies, it's easier because you can make a sequel easier than you can make a live action movie. And animated movies, it's like, oh, okay, Lion King. And then you have Lion King 2, which was released like, another year and a half later. The Transformers movies are spread out so far because they have to take, like, live action movies take so much time because you have to actually shoot the scene. You have to actually shoot the scene again, and keep shooting the scene until you get the perfect, cut. And you're like, okay, now we have to add lighting to this, like add specific lighting, or add the CGI model, we have to add CGI Optimus in the movie. And now we have to have, okay, he's looking a little bit, now he's looking a bit too far down from Optimus, so we have to redo the scene with the fake Optimus there. It's just, the live action movies is a lot is a lot harder to make because it's like, hey, we have to shoot the scene. We have to keep shooting the scene until it's like perfect as we can make this scene. And especially when you're out in the wherever, like in the city, like you have to drown out the noise of a plane flies overhead. You have to like wait for that plane to fly overhead. And you have to build the props too. Like you can't just be like, oh, I want Optimus, or I want Optimus's sword to shape like this. Now you have to CGI at that end. Or if you want a rock shaped a different way, you can't CGI a rock unless you have them on a green screen. But now you have to do a creation of that green screen of the guy standing on that rock. Now that green screen, you have to shape it around. Anyway, this video has gone really long on a tangent. I've just been, this is a tangent video, which is this is kind of cool. Just doing these tangent videos is pretty nice. But I apologize for the tangent, and if you guys do like the tangents, I'm gonna keep doing them. But as always, guys, this has been Ghost Dragon. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, depending on wherever you're watching this video from. And as always, love you guys. If you guys do like these videos, subscribe, like the video, comment down if you made it to the end of the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.